We live in an age of constant connectivity, yet we have never been more skilled at practicing the art of the slow fade. You know the feeling. Your phone lights up, you see the notification, and for a split second, a flutter of anticipation hits your chest. You open the chat, ready to engage, ready to spill your thoughts, or perhaps share a piece of your day. But then you see it. A single word. Okay. Or perhaps, even worse, the curt, dismissive yeah. In the landscape of digital communication, these are not just replies, they are terminal velocity. They are the white flags of human interaction, marking the precise moment when the internal engine of interest stalls and dies. We are taught to believe that words have meaning, that communication is a bridge, but we refuse to acknowledge that silence, or its near equivalent, the minimalist response, is a weaponized form of indifference. We cling to the delusion that the other person is just busy, that they are stressed, or that they are simply bad at texting. We build elaborate mental architectures to justify their brevity because facing the truth requires us to admit that we are no longer a priority. The reality is that human beings are fundamentally expressive creatures. When we care, we spill over. We use emojis, we elaborate, we ask follow-up questions, we send memes. We create a dialogue that keeps the pulse of the relationship beating. But when the interest wanes, we become stingy. We begin to ration our energy. The transition from paragraphs to sentences, and finally to these monosyllabic anchors, is not an accident. It is a calculated retreat. It is the sound of a door being gently, but firmly, closed in your face. It is the most efficient way to signal that the investment of time is no longer yielding a return that feels worth the effort. People claim they are too busy to type more, but we all know that time is a constructive priority. If you matter, they will find the time to construct a sentence. If you don't, they will offer you the scraps of their attention, just enough to avoid the confrontation of a clean break, but just little enough to keep you at arm's length. Consider the anatomy of this decline. It usually begins with a delay. The response time stretches from minutes to hours, then to days. You notice yourself starting to curate your own responses, matching their energy, trying to play it cool while your stomach churns with the anxiety of the unknown. You start checking their status, looking for the telltale sign that they are online but ignoring you. It is a slow, agonizing realization that you are fighting a war against a ghost. The more you reach out, the more they shrink. Your vulnerability becomes an inconvenience, and your attempts at connection are met with the equivalent of a shrug. It is a strange form of psychological violence, really, the act of being slowly erased from someone's daily mental bandwidth. You are being demoted from a confidant to a contact, then to a notification that gets swiped away and forgotten before it even fully clears the lock screen. The cruelty isn't in the rejection, it is in the ambiguity. It is the refusal to say I am finished that keeps you trapped in the limbo of maybe. We romanticize the busy person trope to save ourselves from the humiliation of being unwanted. We convince ourselves that if we just hold on, if we just wait for their work cycle to end or their personal crisis to resolve, the old dynamic will return. But the truth is much colder. Relationships, whether romantic or platonic, are fueled by a mutual desire for engagement. When that desire hits zero, the language changes. It is a universal law of social physics. Entropy takes over. Unless effort is actively applied to maintain the connection, it will naturally dissolve into the simplest possible form. Okay is the entropy of communication. It is the bottom of the barrel. It is the final brick in the wall they are building between your life and theirs. And the most painful part? You already know this. You have done it to others too. You have received a message from someone you no longer had the bandwidth for, and you typed that cool or haha just to tick the box, to acknowledge receipt without having to engage in the heavy lifting of a real conversation. We are all perpetrators. We are all victims. This process is a necessary, albeit brutal, mechanism of pruning. We cannot hold everyone in our orbit indefinitely. As we grow, as our interests shift, as our boundaries solidify, we naturally shed connections that no longer serve us or, more accurately, that no longer spark the friction that makes life feel interesting. The minimalist reply is the polite mask of social shedding. It is the non-confrontational way of saying, you are no longer worth my mental processing power. It saves us from the awkwardness of an explanation, from the drama of a debate, and from the responsibility of being the bad guy who severed the tie. Yet, by choosing this path, we leave the other person to wander in the dark, wondering what they did wrong, replaying old conversations, hunting for a ghost of a reason that doesn't exist. There is no reason. The interest simply evaporated. It is a hollow, empty, and final state. Recognizing this is not about becoming cynical, but about becoming precise. It is about understanding that when the words stop, the relationship has already ended. The okay is just the obituary, delivered via text. Ultimately, accepting this allows you to reclaim your own dignity. There is no power in chasing a shadow. When the messages become sparse, when the effort becomes one-sided, the only sane move is to stop feeding the fire. Don't ask for more. Don't demand an explanation. Don't try to perform your worth in a chat box where the reader has already checked out. Instead, recognize the signal for exactly what it is, a quiet exit. When someone gives you the okay, let them have the last word. You don't need to fill the silence with more text. You don't need to try to revive a corpse. You just need to accept that the conversation has reached its natural conclusion. People will show you exactly who they are by how much they are willing to say to you. If they offer you nothing but monosyllabic crumbs, do not beg for a feast. Stand up, walk away, and redirect your energy toward those who still have the hunger to listen to your stories and the audacity to tell you their own. Your silence speaks more than their words. The end is not a goodbye, but a period.